Okay, good evening on this snowy Tuesday, January 23rd. I'm calling our council meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. Again, just a mention to everybody about our new meeting schedule that we are rotating between council and committee of the whole meetings and public meetings. And I'll certainly talk more about some of I know the questions and concerns that have been raised around questions and community engagement today when we get to the part on how people can actually engage with the deputations during our council meetings. But before we get to that, I'm going to start with a moment of silent reflection. And before a moment of silent reflection in silence this evening, I'd like to note that January 27th is International Holocaust Remembrance Day. On this day, we remember the more than 6 million Jewish children, women, and men who were murdered during the Holocaust and the millions of other victims of Nazi atrocities. On the evening of the 27th, the County of Northumberland will join dozens of municipalities and monuments across the county to honor the victims of the Holocaust by lighting the headquarters building in yellow. January 29th is the National Day of Remembrance of the Quebec City mosque attack and action against Islamophobia. On this day, we remember the 6 victims who lost their lives and the 19 others who were seriously injured during the terrorist attack at the Islamic Cultural Center of the City of Quebec on January 29th, 2017. We express our solidarity with the survivors and those affected by this tragedy and come together to denounce Islamophobia and all their forms of racism, hate, and religious discrimination. On that note, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. We'll move on to our land acknowledgement. The municipality of Port Hope exists on the lands of the Mississauga Anishinaabeg traditional territory covered by the Williams Treaties. We honor and recognize First Peoples as rights holders and stewards of the lands and waters on which we have the privilege to live, work, and play, including the Ganaraska Forest and River. We pay respect to elders past, present, and emerging. We commit to actions towards truth and reconciliation by recognizing the United Nations Declaration on the rights of Indigenous peoples, strengthening ties with First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, especially those who make their home in Port Hope, and learning from Indigenous ways of knowing and being. We do so by recognizing the past and working towards a shared future. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interests? I note that none were received in advance to tonight's meeting. Seeing none, the clerk will note that in the minutes, and we'll move on. There is no closed session this evening. There's no business arising from closed sessions, and do have a number of announcements, updates, and recognitions. So the first is regarding the Pan-African flag raising. On Thursday, February 1st, the start of Black History Month will be observed. This month serves as a poignant reminder of the valuable contributions made by individuals of African and Caribbean heritage to our society, as well as their continued quest for fairness and social justice. Throughout February, Canadians have the opportunity to engage in various festivities, events, and activities dedicated to celebrating the enduring legacy of Black Canadians, both historic and contemporary, in Canada and also in our local community. This year, we extend an invitation to the community to join us for the Pan-African flag raising ceremony commemorating Black History Month on February 1st at 11 a.m., where I will give and provide some comments. The ceremony will be held outside Town Hall at the flagpole. More information about the flag raising is available on our website. Moving on to Civic Awards. Nominations are currently being accepted for the Civic Awards with the deadline set for March 7th, 2024. The awards include 9 distinct categories outstanding citizen, outstanding youth, agriculture, athletics, community service, environment, inspiration, philanthropy. So I urge all of you, as I know that a number of my council members have done so already, to reflect on individuals within your social circle and community who dedicate their time and skills to the advancement of Port Hope. We know that we would not be the community that we are without amazing volunteers, and this is such a terrific way to recognize their efforts and contributions. So submit a nomination form and recognize folks in our community for everything that they give to us. A couple of other announcements. One is regarding the Ontario Land Tribunal in regards to 65 Ward Street. January 23rd, 2024 was the scheduled case management conference date for the OLT case for 65 Ward Street. In late 2023, Southbridge filed a motion for dismissal of the OLT case. The motion claimed that the case should be dismissed because the municipality was deemed to have consented to the demolition as Southbridge was not given notice of the rescinded bylaw as outlined in the Heritage Act. That motion was denied by the OLT at today's CMC before the CMC proceeded. The member gave a verbal order at today's session, and that order will be sent to the municipality in writing once prepared by the OLT. As we have with previous case updates, when this order is received by the municipality, we will include it in the information on the appropriate municipal webpage. After the motion was denied, the CMC carried on. At the CMC, the timeline for the witness list was established 1 week to finalize the list. The parties agreed that they would advise the OLT if 3 days for the hearing scheduled for March of 2024 is required, or if it may be reduced by 1 day. Municipal staff and the municipal's legal representation continue to work through the OLT process and are preparing for the hearing date scheduled for March 6th to March 8th, 2024. More information about the OLT matter is available on our website at www.porthope.ca/heritage/permit. And finally, just a very brief update. I just drove back from the Roma conference that was held in Toronto for last number of days, and there will be more updates as the weeks go by. But I wanted to bring to everybody's attention a really terrific report that was published by Roma in sort of on theme of this year's conference called Filling the Gaps Closer to Home, Improving Access to Health Services for Rural Ontario. It was published on January 21st, and it was proposals that are being put forward from Roma to the Ontario government, and something that all municipalities should be aware of because it contains some very valuable data. And I'm just going to highlight a few of the points made in this report. Some of these things might not be a surprise to many of you, but I think they're worth repeating. One is that access to primary care is declining far more rapidly in rural Ontario than in urban areas. And the number of residents in rural Ontario without access to a family physician or family health team is increasing 4 times the rate as in urban areas. Hospitals in rural Ontario were disproportionately affected by temporary emergency department closures in 2022 and 2023. There were 600 of them in those 2 years. Communities in rural Ontario do not have the capacity in their network of community services that could absorb demand from emergency departments. And the travel burden for those living in rural and remote communities, both in terms of time and money, is much higher in rural Ontario. And certainly we heard a number of incidents where the costs were in fact quite breathtaking. So Roma is offering 22 recommendations for the attention of the province of Ontario. And again, I'm just going to highlight a few. Ensure that rural municipalities have a seat at their Ontario Health Team's table to fix primary care. to reconfigure the deployment of Health Human Services to shift demand away from emergency departments to more appropriate and innovative forms of care, to complete the full range of community care, to implement interprofessional team approaches, to support community focused innovation in rural Ontario, and to preserve public health emergency response and prevention programs. So I would urge all of you to have a look at this report. It's very timely, it's very important, and we all know of someone in the community who does not have access, equitable access to primary care here in Port Hope. Do any council members have any announcements or updates related to municipal business that they would like to add at this point? Okay, moving on, we have no presentations this evening. And I want to now move on to the next point, and that's deputations that I talked about at the very beginning of today's meeting. Been a lot of questions about how our new procedural bylaw is affecting community engagement here at in our chambers and with council and with staff. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about deputations at this point so that there's clarity. Deputations may only be made on a matter that is on the council agenda. And so here we're talking about council meetings, of course. In accordance with our new procedural bylaw, deputations are taking the place of question period at council. This is not to shut down community engagement. It is an opportunity, in fact, for the public to express their views, concerns, or suggestions before council makes decision on related matters. This model is intended to improve and strengthen community engagement and to strengthen the democratic process in our decision making at this table. You must, however, register for a deputation in advance of the council meeting, and you can register up to the day before council meeting takes place. Please visit the municipal website for more information, and/or I'm sure our clerk would be available to answer any questions around these new processes that folks might have. Tonight, we have no deputations and we have no correspondence. So I'm going to move on to item nine, which is our consent agenda. Adoption of minutes. Items listed under the adoption minutes consent agenda are considered collectively as one motion. Council members may request that specific items be removed for separate discussion, deliberation, and action. The consent items are listed on the agenda. Would any member of council like to remove any of these items for separate discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to ask for a mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor Adam, seconded by Councillor Less. All in favor? And that motion is passed. Moving on to the consent agenda for advisory committee and board meetings. Would any member of council like to remove any of these items for separate discussion? Seeing none, can I get a mover and seconder to receive these items for information? Councillor Mink is the mover. Councillor Adam is the seconder. All in favor? That is passed unanimously. Moving on to item 11, committee reports and recommendations. We have really, I'm not going to be asking authors to introduce the reports since they've already done so at the committee of the whole. So it's really just an opportunity for council members to provide any further feedback if they choose to do so. So we're going to move on to 11.1, motion from council meeting December 19th, 2023 regarding correspondence from the Fair Share Food Bank regarding the food bank policy change to transition bi-weekly. Is there anything that anybody would like to add before we move to a vote on this matter? Seeing none, can the recommended action is to ask for a mover and seconder for this. Moved by Deputy Mayor and seconded by Councillor Mink. All in favor? And that motion is passed. Moving on to item 11.2, Motion from council meeting December 19th, 2023 regarding correspondence from Philip Lawrence, MP, Northumberland, Peterborough South, regarding initiative to find sister cities in Ukraine for municipalities in Canada. Is there anything further anyone would like to add before we vote on the matter? Seeing none, can I get a mover and seconder? Moved by Councillor Adams, seconded by Councillor Less. All in favor? Thank you, and that motion is passed. Moving on to 11.3, motion from Committee of the Whole meeting, January 16th, 2024, regarding report PD 0224, re-sign variance on 90 Walton Street. Is there anything anyone would like to add before we take the vote on this? Seeing none, can I get a mover and seconder? Moved by Councillor Less, seconded by Councillor Mink. All in favor? And that vote is passed unanimously. Moving on to 11.4, motion from Committee of the Whole meeting, January 16th, 2024, regarding report PRC 0124, municipal alcohol policy update. Is there anything anybody would like to add to this? Seeing none, can I get a mover and seconder? Moved by Councillor Less, seconded by Councillor Adam. We'll take a vote, and that is passed unanimously. Moving on to 11.5, motion from Committee of the Whole meeting, January 16th, 2024, regarding report WE0124, drinking water quality management system, QMS, commitment re-endorsement. Is there anything that anybody would like to add? Seeing none, can I get a mover and seconder? Moved by Councillor Adams, seconded by Councillor Mink. All in favor? And that is passed unanimously. 11.6, motion from Committee of the Whole meeting, January 16th, 2024, regarding report PS 0224, property standards bylaw update. Is there anything anyone would like to add before we vote on the matter? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Just to say that I have had a few people reach out since the Committee of the Whole meeting last week about the public engagement around this. Curious to know if there's any update on reviewing that from that lens of sort of that balance between affordability and aesthetics. And people are, I think, curious to know when that might be opening up on myporthope.ca.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for the question. There's a meeting scheduled later this week with the Communications Department. There's multiple items on the agenda. One of them is the approach that's going to be taken for the public consultation process for this specific update to this bylaw. We're going to be reviewing different methods and approaches to ensure that we are getting a good touch points with all of the members of the community that we need to. And as far as a timeline as to when it's going to be released on myporthope.ca, I don't have that as far as the exact date, but we can send a message out to council to let you know that it's gone live so that you're not just watching for it. We can let you know that it's up there. And once we've done all the collection of the data from the public, we'll bring back a comprehensive report and for the final stages of adoption. You're welcome.
Okay, so can I get a mover and seconder? Moved by Deputy Mayor and seconded by Councillor Adam. All in favor? That's unanimously passed. 11.7, motion from Committee of the Whole meeting, January 16th, 2024, regarding report PS 0324, Transport Canada Rail Safety Program Grant. Anything anybody wants to add? No? Okay, can I get a mover and seconder? Moved by Councillor Less, seconded by Councillor Adam. All in favor? Passed unanimously. We have no notice of motions for this evening, so we're moving on to item 13, bylaws. Bylaws are passed by consent agenda. Would anyone like to remove a bylaw for separate consideration and discussion? Seeing none, can I get a mover and seconder to pass the bylaws? Moved by Councillor Less, seconded by Councillor Adam. All in favor? Thank you. It is now time for the confirmatory bylaw. This bylaw confirms that the proceedings that took place this evening and provides for formal adoption through a bylaw. Can I get a mover and seconder? Moved by Councillor Adams, seconded by Councillor Mink. All in favor? And that is Passed unanimously. This concludes our business to be covered on today's agenda. We've reached the end of our agenda, and I'm in a position to adjourn the meeting. Thank you at 6:49 p.m.